and welcome to Kick-Ons. Richo is off, so it's just the big guns in here. We have brought in the big guns. One of those is Joshy Jenkins in the tightest jeans you'll ever see. JJ, welcome back.
If you've got athletic legs, you may as well continue to flaunt them, Kane. I've seen you flexing and carrying on, so I thought I'd just put the tight jeans on. How good. Richo is in Bali, probably vomiting. He probably got Bali belly, but we're here, we're locked in. And you've been locked in.
I've been locked in.
The drought is over.
Don't you worry about that, because I just put this one up on the feed, if you don't mind. My Kangaroos, I never doubted them. I knew that they would win. That was going to be an upset, and Cam Zerhard to kick two. He kicked three, $6, and well done to the two loyal punters. My wife
when it's been 4 months between drinks, you can understand why only two punters got on board. But Kane's back in form, so get around him. And last week, Kane, we did the over-under. So we played the over-under game. We're going to play it again. We went pretty well.
We did go pretty well. Now, you got 5 out of 6, so you knocked me off.
Are you going to try and argue?
Well, at the last minute, I did suggest that I got the Nasai Wangani Miller 1 wrong, and I wanted to change it on the show. The graphic had already been built, so I said, I'll stay with it. And he took about 15 kick-ins, and every time he took one, I thought, oh no. But we are going to do that game again as well. So,
and if you took the multi, no success. But if you had $10 on each one of those selections, you would have made $33 following mine, and you would have made $14 following yours. So profitable, finally.
Very profitable. We'll do that again as well. Now, the race for the top 8 is hotting up, JJ. I don't know who's going to miss, but there is probably only 9 teams that can make it.
Yep.
As we look at the odds for those teams that are going to play in September, who do you think is vulnerable when it comes to this? So the Giants to miss, Fremantle, Hawthorn, Gold Coast and the Western Bulldogs. Who do you think's in trouble?
I actually think Fremantle are vulnerable to miss.
Really?
Now, I keep bumping into people on social media and in the street and on the radio telling me Fremantle could win the flag or could finish top 4. I actually don't see as many gimmies in their run home. I think they've got some difficult games on the run in. So I've got Fremantle, $4.33. It's a good price. The Giants might be the most logical if Gold Coast lose on the weekend. So I'm holding the rope as tight as I can for Gold Coast.
Yes, you're on the fence here. Is it the Giants? Is it the Gold Coast?
It's Fremantle. It's Fremantle for me. But I'm saying if Gold Coast lose to Melbourne on the weekend, panic stations.
All right. Well, one man who suggested there might be panic stations was Dan Garinch, who filled in for me a couple of weeks ago. Let's have a listen.
I think Gold Coast are going to do what they always do. Mid-season, they look unbelievable.
Really?
Track the finals, I think they'll miss the 8.
What?
No. Yep.
No,
I know. Hey,
no
guys,
chance.
hey, don't shoot me, guys. Mr. Messenger here.
So he's all over it. I don't think that's going to happen. If it does, I'm in all sorts of trouble because I said I'd shave a fireball into my head if Gold Coast missed the 8 a couple of weeks ago. So I don't think that will happen. But is Adelaide vulnerable? Adelaide was not even mentioned on the graphic there. I want to take a look at your old team's run home, the Adelaide Footy Club, the mighty Camry Crows, to miss the 8, $19. So no one thinks this is going to happen, but there are some tricky games. I could see them dropping one against Melbourne. They'll lose to the Bulldogs. They could lose to Gold Coast. Who knows about the showdown? They're always 50-50. Then it's the Hawks. They beat West Coast and North Melbourne, but Collingwood in there, you think they lose. I think this could be disastrous for Matty Nicks and the Adelaide Football Club. So I just want to put that on record. I think the Crows are vulnerable.
They'll make it. They'll make it. But if they miss, he's gone.
Gone.
He goes. If they miss from here, he goes. We said it at the start of the year. If the Adelaide Crows miss the 8, then the coach would go. So if they miss the 8, why would it be any different? It might be even more damning if they miss the 8. But they are not missing the 8. The Crows will be there in September.
I don't know. This could get really big on them if they start to drop a couple. And the Adelaide fans who have been so patient with this rebuild, 7 years without finals, Matthew Nicks, the pressure will build, and we'll see if the players can cope.
They'll make it.
Hey, big game, Friday night, huge game. I was wrapped with what Sydney did against Port Adelaide last Saturday. I thought their big guns back, Papley and Goulden, thought Mills behind the ball was terrific. But the Western Bulldogs, they're in fine form. They've had 5 wins by 71 points or more. There's the head-to-head. It's at the SCG. Is this a danger game for the Dogs?
Well, it just shows it is a danger game because it shows how important your best players are. And Errol Goulden, we've been hearing all season long, Sydney's ball movement is not where it needs to be. And a lot of it has been on the back of other guys having to try and make those proper kicks. And he's the only one, or one of only a few players in their team who can make those type of kicks. So he's going to get better and better and better. Maybe we don't see the best of him this week. Second up's always difficult. You're feeling sore for the first time for a long time. So he's going to get better. He's going to make them better. He already has done that. I love the move of Callum Mills. You referenced that. Mills behind the footy. He's a sound decision maker. I don't know whether he's got the quickness to play on ball anymore. So Mills behind the footy. I think his line's about 22.5 this week. He's gone north of that the past 2 weeks. I reckon he's one of the best bets for the weekend. Cal Mills north of 22.5.
Happily as well, like just what he brings with
Energy.
the energy. Yeah, how good was he? So if Adelaide are going to miss, can Sydney make a charge? This is
Adelaide
what I
aren't going to miss.
This is what I think they're vulnerable. The crucial games for Sydney is the next 2 weeks, both at home against teams that are going to be fighting for 6th, 7th, 8th position, the Bulldogs and Fremantle. Get those two or one of those two. Look at how it opens up for them. St Kilda, they win. North Melbourne, they win. The Giants in Sydney is winnable. Essendon, they win. Brisbane and Geelong, once again. So there's 4 crucial games for Sydney. It's the Bulldogs, Fremantle, Brisbane and Geelong. And then they win big. To make the top 8, $9. I actually think that is reasonably realistic that could happen with these players back.
Well, what you should do is chuck that on your feed.
I will do that. I will actually do that.
I don't think they can look any further than... Now, they won't, but you shouldn't look any further as a Sydney fan than this Friday night. Like, tomorrow night is the game that means the most. If they can get that done, all of a sudden it's a couple in a row and it's momentum, and it does open up. But look, when you lose so many games early in the season, your margin for error is tiny.
It is tiny. One man they're going to have to stop, and I don't know how they stop it. I don't know how anyone stops him, is Sam Darcy. How do you go about now? Bolter played probably the worst game I've seen from any defender this year. Now, it's a difficult task against Darcy, but Bolter, he was nowhere near him. He's not going to get this sort of room. But what do they do with this guy?
I don't know how you stop him from being able to extend like that. Now, I was at the game, I was calling that game, and I was always trying to get my eyes to where Darcy was before the ball got there, just to see how he moves. He has got everything. Yep. He's got all the tangible things in terms of his size and his skills, and he can pick the ball up off the ground, he can mark it in the air, obviously, but he's got all the intangibles as well. He's got some mongrel in him. He's competitive. He doesn't like to lose. Yep. He's selfless as well. He's more than happy to share the load. So he genuinely, now, you know, we're all gushing about him, but there's good reason for
4 plus? How many's he kick?
Oh, I think you can start at 3 and then have something small on him.
Not big odds for 3 though, is it?
Well, he's so reliable.
Yeah.
He's so reliable. That's the reason why he's done that so often this year. I think goals per game, he might be leading the competition, except for that absence, of course. So he's going to face a good opponent this week. But I mean, he is a force.
All right. Well, your segment, Carn Kane, has taken the footy world by storm.
It has.
I just want to flip the script. Because I just saw something extraordinary from you. Did Joel Amartey play well last night? The question mark. It's actually a really interesting question. 15 disposals, 8 marks, 8 score involvements. You know what? It's not an interesting question at all.
I thought it was.
It is a dumb question. This man played one of the worst games you've seen for the year. Yes, he got his hands on the football.
Great contested mark.
JJ, if this was a midfielder
on the move,
who had 30 disposals and 29 of them went directly to the opposition, you would be saying how poorly they played as a midfielder. So this is the exact equivalent. He kicked 0 goals, 6. 2 of those didn't score, so he's had 8 shots.
Strong hands on the lead.
Has not kicked a goal, and you thought it was a good idea to go to Twitter and ask whether he played well.
Well, most of the responses said, stop stealing my segment, said that he played well. If you offer me 15 disposals, 8 marks, 7 of them inside forward 50, a few tackles and 6 shots on goal, I'm going to take it.
Yeah, but not if you can't kick and they spray them everywhere.
I see it was the lowest rated game in champion data history.
It was. The Gold Coast Suns, all right? We touched on them briefly, but you wanted to have a look at their midfield and in particular their big 3.
This was something that when I was at the Cats, in a coaching capacity, we used to track and have a look at how can you get Gold Coast, because on paper their midfield is stacked, absolutely airborne. But what I used to see and what we used to see was these guys playing midfield, and you can include the ruckman, north of 90% of the game. So what teams will say to themselves is, yes, they're dynamic, and yes, they'll start well, and you might just have to hang tough, but they're going to get tired.
Yes.
So we're going to run 6 and 7 and 8 bodies through the midfield. They're going to run 3 midfielders and 1 ruckman through there, and that's what they've gotten back to for some reason. They need more from Fiorini.
Flanders?
They need Ainsworth. Flanders had 29 but didn't go through the centre bounce, weirdly. So Sean Grigg's the midfield coach there, and he was the one who really drove it in the premiership era at Geelong in terms of let's get more bodies through the midfield. So he needs to get back to that because that's what happened in that game. Those guys, as well as they played, they just got tired.
How good was this battle? Green had 16
You guys laughed at me last week.
What'd you say?
Well, you guys, of course it's Matt Rowell over Tom Green, and my man Turbo Tommy Green just came out and look at him, 31 disposals, 16 clearances.
Well, Matt Rowell was pretty good as well.
1 goal,
that
2.
That guy was pretty good as well.
We went home without the 4 points. Look at this, balk 1, balk 2, and home you go.
If he
Crucial
can
part of the game.
Start doing that, then look out for Tom Green. 16 career high clearances, the most of any player this
Watch
season.
out for him on the Monday night of Grand Final week. I am starting to build on the feed. We're betting around the favourites when it comes to the Brownlow medal. Noah Anderson is one we jumped on a few weeks ago. He just continues to play well.
3 months ago, did you put that up?
Yes, thank you. Even in a loss, 42-2 for this man. He'd be a big chance of pinching the 3.
Yeah,
he
got the 9 coaches' votes.
Or a 2. So he gets votes in this game, and when you can get votes in losses, that's massive because we know they've won plenty of games. They should continue to win games. He is still about $13 or $14 for the Brownlow medal at the moment. So make sure you check that out because I've played around with Anderson. I've had something on Ed Richards. Tom Green, I think, can make a charge. Even Max Holmes is still $81. I think you can play around the favourites for the Brownlow.
So here's some of your Brownlow roughies. If you followed my feed earlier on in the year before the season started, you would have got on Caleb Sarong, which I think is looking pretty nice. He would have got the 3 on the weekend as well, but you like some of these roughies. Geez, Max Holmes is a big price.
Massive price. I think he's one that, because he attracts the attention. The umpires tell us they don't look at the stats. Holmes is a guy, you can't help but notice him tuck the ball under his arm, run and take bounces and kick goals. A lot of those guys have kicked goals this year, and that's important.
Now, JJ, it might be the worst round of football for the year this year, but it doesn't matter. We can still find some value, and we're going to look at the lines because the Saturday and Sunday games look like they are going to be blowouts. Here's the lines. And what are we going to do? You're going to go...
We're both happy with Gold Coast.
We are.
They'll cover that, surely.
Hawthorn and North Melbourne. North Melbourne are a different unit.
I'm on the other side. I think North Melbourne, not Northorn. North Melbourne, plus 5 goals, is too big a head start in Tassie where we've seen it's difficult to score.
Yeah, all right, and there you go as well. All right, let's get to the best segment on this program, and that is On Notice.
What?
It's On Notice.
Thought it was Carn
It's On
Kane.
Notice. No, that's coming up a little bit later on, and you can be the judge. But just have a listen to this from Alistair Clarkson.
Here we go.
Post-match, my man.
We'll look at the tape and try and work out what happened in the last quarter. In teams challenge us like that, we probably our default should be to go back at them.
All right, Clarko.
What's wrong with that?
He didn't know what had happened. Honestly, you are getting $1 million. You've won 4 premierships. They've got you to be there. It's 10 scoring shots to 0 in the last quarter, and he's telling his players, we'll have a look at what happened after the game.
It's 10 minutes
you know what,
after the
Clarko?
game.
You should know what's happening in real time. That's what you are paid to do. You got your computers, you got your assistant coaches, you got the vision, you got the bird's eye view. How about you work out what's happening in real time? It's no good working it out on Monday. So Clarko is on notice.
He gets a win and he still gets a flogging.
You've got to be better than that because if he dropped that game, that would have been a disaster. So you're coming up against your understudy, Sam Mitchell, on the weekend, and I'm telling you, you better work out what is happening in real time. Clarko is on notice.
Poor Alistair.
All right.
Fair dinkum.
All right, Clarko's on notice. Let's get into the shot clock. The Cats wide out. Were you a fan of them?
I was there.
You liked it?
And they've stolen it from Penn State University where they get 110,000 people.
Did they embrace it like Penn State University?
They did. The crowd. It's the most vocal I've heard the crowd in all my time going to GMHBA Stadium. So even though they lost, they got belted. It did work. It did work, I'm telling you.
You know what I'm not a fan of? The crowd Bronx cheering Grind Myers.
Yeah, that was average.
Pull your head in.
That was average. Now,
spoiled Geelong fans.
All right, easy. I am a fan of the Giants. I've been holding on to the rope with them all season long. Are they now awake? Are the Giants actually
I'm not convinced.
here?
I'm not convinced, particularly with Sam Taylor. Now, a lot's going to depend on him. I thought they were very slow out of the blocks. I just worry about their midfield and how reliant they are now on Finn Callaghan. So I think they lack probably one, maybe two midfielders, and often it is Toby Green that needs to go in there to give them the bit of oomph, and that's what he did on the weekend. Thought he was terrific. So I think they are the most vulnerable to miss the 8 with where they're at, just personnel-wise, and just they're lacking depth. Zach Merritt's been thrown around everywhere. Couldn't believe Thursday night last week he started on the wing. Where's his best position?
Not sure. 3 out of the last 4 games he's been to less than 50% of centre bounces. That number just has to change. Allow your good... I understand he's being tagged. Brad Scott's trying to help him to help them. And maybe, now I used to play with Matt and Brad Crouch, who are 2 guys who only could play inside mid.
They got too many of those, the Bombers.
Yeah, that's right.
Setterfield, Hobbs.
So they're moving Merritt and they're moving Martin because of other guys.
Yep.
Either ask those guys to play different positions or take them out of the team. You shouldn't have to make Merritt and Martin sacrifice.
Let's stay with the Bombers because you are the key forward specialist. Nate Caddy or Logan Morris, both in fine form, these 2 youngsters.
Well, I know which player will be available after you've had your selection because your obsession with Caddy is outrageous.
Yeah.
Logan Morris has kicked 30 goals.
I know.
Already a premiership in the back pocket. The boy who loves his Maccas, 30 goals, back-to-back 5-goal games. I know Caddy's good,
so
but
you're taking Morris?
Yes.
Well, you got to factor in the fact that Nate Caddy doesn't get any supply whatsoever.
Yeah, that is a factor, but I can't punish Logan Morris because of that.
All right, our Brisbane small forwards getting enough credit. They are absolutely stacked, and Lohman was back into form.
Yeah, it was good to see Lohman back. He looked busy from the absolute get-go. They're getting enough credit from me because I love my Brisbane Lions. I just think when Rayner and Bailey, the key number for Brisbane should be 15 each. These 2 guys have got to have the ball 15 times each. Now, whatever that looks like...
No Charlie Cameron there. I put him on notice last week and 0 again.
Yeah, we're getting worried about...
What is going on?
Getting worried about my man. Yeah. But Rayner and Bailey are the 2. Some of Bailey's ball use against Geelong last week was sublime. And Rayner out of the goal square... We've been talking about this, isolated, on the ground, in the air, doesn't matter. He is a problem.
All right, $6 for Brisbane to win the premiership. I still feel like their best is the best in the competition. We've got a big show still to come on Kick-Ons, our massive over and under bet on the other side of this. Thanks for your company on Kick-Ons. Josh Jenkins in fine form. Richo somewhere in Bali with his stupid hat on and hopefully knows Bali belly. But JJ, our over and unders last week were a huge success.
Yeah, well,
5 out of 6.
Yes.
4 out of 6. So
profitable.
We are going again today. But you were just saying you're not feeling as good about it this week.
Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed I didn't get all 6. I knew the Neil tag was coming. I still took the over, so blame it on me. So this week, we're going to start off with Marcus Bontempelli.
Yep.
So James Jordan, where does he go? He's the fascination because if you know for sure Jordan's going to Bontempelli, I think when you know a tag's coming, you almost have to take the under.
You do. I don't know where, maybe Richards, that's the complicating factor to that. So Jordan went to Rosie last week as that defensive forward. Zach Butters had 21 at half time, so they flipped the tag. So they could be a bit, they could flip it around a little bit. But I just think at the SCG, Bontempelli more likely to spend a bit more time forward, a bit harder to rack the footy up. So we are both going under that 25.5 for the Bont. What about your man, Noah Anderson, your Brownlow favourite? 42 he had last week. He was everywhere, 15 score involvements. You've gone under?
I can't lose here, right? Because if I've taken the under, because I think Viney or Langdon will go to him. I can't lose because, and if he goes over, yes, the over-under bet loses, but he'll get Brownlow votes. So I'm happy either way. But I think you are negligent in your duty as head coach if you don't tag Noah Anderson this week.
I agree with that, but I still think 28 is a drop in the ocean for him, so I'm going on
what about
over. We disagree on
Kangaroos? LDU, Luke Davies-Uniacke, starts like a house on fire and then slows.
Not fit enough. He's not fit enough. And if he does have a huge pre-season and really takes his footy seriously and gets super fit, he could be anything. But I still think 25.5 is a low number for a modern midfielder. He will not get tagged.
Probably?
I don't think so. So 25.5. I mean, he had 14 in the first quarter a week ago. So I think he goes over that one. Nick Dacos, they take on the West Coast Eagles. He had 30 with the hardest tag in football from Wintagger, and he still had 30. So how could he not go over 30.5 this week?
I think he and his brother will both both have 30 plus in this one, probably get a goal as well. So I think this is the easiest one of the lot he'll be going north of.
All right, Jordan Dawson is always tricky because we don't know where he's going to play. How much time does he spend forward? How much time in the midfield? 24 and a half is tricky. What are you thinking for the Adelaide?
I went over. I think he'll play a lot more midfield. Hopefully it's a nice sunny day and that big tall forward line can explode.
I think they'll play all three tall forwards this week?
Yeah, I think they will.
That's a mistake.
Camden McIntosh might go to him, but won't have an impact. I think Dawson goes over. And finally, your man, Caleb Sarong, but he gets the lockdown.
He gets the lockdown, so I'm going to go under there. 30 and a half is a big number. He had a stack of the footy. So I think with that tag coming, it's going to be very difficult for him to do.
No good for your Brownlow pick. No good for your Brownlow pick.
It's a win-win. If he
big
goes
price as well.
over.
So
there it is.
Yes, look at that.
That's the best looking graphic in football.
Massive.
There it is. 42, pretty much high 42s for both of us. You can follow that on our feed, our Kick-Ons feed or our personal feeds, and get around that. Now, it's going to be hard for you to top Carn JJ this morning.
Well, not really. You make my job pretty easy on Carn Kane. So there's a new fad around. I'm just learning about this on the fly called the 0.5.
Just learning about it, eh?
So on your Apple iPhone, if that's the way you like to roll, you might be a Samsung person, you can press 0.5, which means zoom out. We're going to get a wide shot of the party, and this is the party. The premiership coach, my favourite person in football, Chris Fagan, smiling. Mitch Cleary, great debut on Agenda Setters. Nick Revolt, always a great smiler with those big teeth of his. And Caro's doing her. What are you doing?
I didn't know what was going on. I thought the photographer was taking a picture of the cake, not us.
So you thought you'd look at the cake?
Oh, I just thought, I'm out of it. I didn't even know I was going to be in the photo.
Jeez, you make it easy.
It's not quite as strong as the Carn JJ, but not bad from you. Our big show still to come, including the Footy Trip Fund, which I think I've got.
Oh, here we go.
And I will not be relinquishing this for the rest of the year. Our Monday headlines as well on the other side of this. On Kick-Ons. Oh, here's our Monday headlines, JJ. What does that mean?
It means, thank God, this is the fifth and final week of these grueling bye rounds. We've had 5 tough weeks, 1 to go, hang in there, and then thank God they're done.
Yep, Swanee and Tom Harley coming in. They've got to remove those. Forgive me, Clarko, but you are Stan Mitchell's bunny. It's 3-0 head-to-head. It'll be 4-0, and what a good decision it was for the Hawks.
On behalf of the North Melbourne Football Club, I might take out a verbal restraining order on you against them.
They've already done that. They've already done that. And
Didn't work.
Next Thursday night will be interesting. All right, I'm back in charge for the Footy Trip Fund, which we need to lift because we're in trouble. There it is. If we look at that, I just think Gold Coast go over 17.5 against Melbourne. I think they'll bounce back strongly after the disappointment.
Safe but sweet, I reckon.
Safe but sweet. Yep. All right, now Team Multi. What have you gone with for this?
Dacos brothers for me. So I've got the Dacos boys both to go over their disposal line, 27.5 and 30.5 respectively. It's already up there on the Kick-Ons feed profile.
About Isaac Heaney. Why is he 260 for 25 plus? I'm taking that.
Good spotting from you. And Richo, all the way from Bali, has sent in Josh Tracy to kick 3 or more goals. So big price, $17, but we are a little bit overdue when it comes to the multi.
All right, well, there we are on the feed. I just need to get myself to 10,000 followers pretty quickly. I've been stagnant. JJ's flying and Richo's coming with a bang as well. So you can follow us on the Sportsbet app. Check out our bets on the feed. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the footy, and we'll see you next week.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.